everybody. Hello. My name's Ryan. I'm here at the Ogden Bicycle Collective, and this is Open Shop Live. Today, I've got a special bunch of tools that we're going to be going over. But first, I just want to welcome you guys. This is a weekly live stream we do. They're not always like this, where it's just a spread of tools. A lot of times we're in front of a bike. So if you want to check those out, we've got those on our YouTube channel. And as always, you can go to tiny.cc/YOS-Live. That's in the description on the YouTube. And if you're on Zoom, welcome. Thanks for joining us. But if you want to check out those videos, head on over to our YouTube channel. We've got all our past videos. So last week we went over how to adjust shifting. Week before that, we went over bearings, adjusting them. Man, lots of stuff. I think we have like at least a dozen videos. You know, I could probably count. It wouldn't be hard, but I will some other time. Anyway, this week we are actually going to be talking about tools. Now these are just, we're going to be going over 4 types of tools. The rest of them are examples. But before we get started, I want to go over the rules of the stream real quick. Let's see. There we go. Internet safety. All right. So these rules are on. If you go to the link in the description, you'll be able to see, or this link here. Ooh. If you go to that link there, you'll be able to see like the explanation of those rules and what they all mean. And we have internet safety rules to participate. Check those out if you want to participate in the live streams. We also have work safety. And this one is all about number 1. I'll do that hand. Use the right tool. So we're going to be going over that today. So, and this is, let's see, make sure we're back. Sorry, I'm pressing buttons to switch between scenes. And I press the wrong button a lot. That's what I do. Anyway, let's go ahead and go over the different tools. So we're going to, now it might seem like there's a lot of tools here, but like I said, they all break down into 4 different groups. You got wrenches, screwdrivers, Allen wrenches, or hex keys, or hex wrenches, or yada yada. We'll go over those in a second. And then we also got pliers. And now these are the most basic tools that you use. Just everyone, like you're most likely to have in your home. And with these 4 tools, you can fix a lot of different parts of your bike. So we'll go over some of those here in a second too. First off, let's go ahead and get started with wrenches. Specifically, I have a crescent wrench. Now, crescent wrenches are also called adjustable wrenches because by spinning this little dial here, let me hold it up, you can spin it this way to open it up, spin it the other way to close it. Is that in focus? Okay, sorry about that. So, crescent wrenches. Now these, the reason you'll use a wrench, now not all of them are adjustable, obviously. There are those that aren't adjustable. This is a 17 millimeter. And they come in lots of different sizes, all the way from tiny, teeny tiny as a 6 millimeter to as big as you want. Like they have them in huge sizes for like taking the tires off of giant dump trucks in a mine or something like that. You can get them really big. But the point of these is to loosen and tighten 6-sided bolts and nuts. So they go on like this. You tighten it up, you loosen, and you tighten. So that's what those are for. Now I'm going to go over real quick the different types. So like I said, there's adjustable, there's not adjustable. Then there's socket wrenches. Now socket just refers to this type. Instead of going around it like this, it goes on top of it like that. So what you do with this, well, you can't, I guess you could try turning it with your fingers. Wouldn't be very easy. But you stick it onto a handle like this, the ratchet. This one, it's called a ratchet because that clicking noise, it goes one way and then it stops. So that way you can turn it. So this is a socket wrench, and that goes on top. All right, now This is the most, this is a very common part, like just for lots of different things. For example, a lot of derailleurs, especially front derailleurs, will use a socket wrench. Brakes, sometimes you'll need one of these to adjust them. The headset that we went over a couple weeks ago about adjusting the bearings on a bike, they'll need a wrench like this one. But yeah, so let's go ahead and move these out of the way. Not too much exciting about wrenches. Basically, you hold on to the flat edges of the, and as a matter of fact, we'll get into more of this. You hold on to the flat edges of the nut or the bolt, and then you turn it. Now, you turn clockwise to tighten the bolt, and you turn it counterclockwise to loosen. I should have put up a little graphic. Say like, so if you're turning it clockwise, you're going forward in time. And if you're turning it backwards, you're going back in time to when the bolt was loosened. That's how I remember it. Or you could remember it righty, tighty. So go to the right to tighten, go to the left to loosen. So if you're holding the wrench above it, right, go right to tighten it. So righty tighty, or lefty loosey, go left to loosen. All right, that's it for that. Now, next up, we've actually got screwdrivers. Now, screwdrivers are pretty important on lots of things, you know, putting in screws into your walls so you can hang pictures. Always ask for it though, so you don't ruin a wall. Learn that the hard way. But yeah, screwdrivers mostly come in two variants. Phillips head, which is a plus, like this guy here, the Phillips head, or flathead. Hold that up close. Flathead, like this one here. So Phillips head goes into the plus shaped, and flathead goes into the minus shape. Now, it's important to note that they're kind of cone shaped. So one thing, oh, shoot, sorry, let me show you the screws. There we go. All right, so here's an example of a Phillips head screw, and here is a flathead screw. Now, show me the Phillips head. Now, it's important to note that it goes in to the plus goes into the tip of the screwdriver goes into the plus, but there's something interesting is that screwdrivers come in different sizes. So we look at the sizes of these two. This is a much thicker one, and this is a much thinner one. So this one is going to have, you can't even fit it inside this screw. So the bigger the hole in the screw, or the insertion point of the screw, then the bigger the screwdriver you'll need. But too big of a screwdriver can actually be a bad thing. So here's a good medium-sized screwdriver between the two. So let's put these two back down. And then you can tighten it. So this is pretty much a perfect fit. Now, it's important to get the right fit because, and we'll get to this later on when we get to pliers, but every time it slips, if it pops out and slips, man, that's too good of a fit. Let's try this. Yeah, every time it pops out and slips, it can take off a tiny bit of metal. And that'll just tear away at the inside of the screw, and instead of having a plus sign, it'll just be a circle because you've stripped the screw, is what it's called. Zoom back in. All right. So another point that I wanted to make, screwdrivers, they come in different lengths. Here's two very different looking screwdrivers. But the reason this part here, the shaft, is longer is that you can reach into tighter space or to farther away spaces. But it's not always good to have a really long one because the farther away you hold something, the easier it is to slip. And you don't want to end up with a screwdriver through your hand. It's not fun. So if you can use one that's this size, it's really easy because you're not going to slip as far and hurt yourself. So that's another point too. So using the right tool, obviously you're not going to want to use, there are screws that you can use a flathead and a Phillips head on the screw. But use the right size of screwdriver. Oh, here's a fun little thing too in my collection of screwdrivers. The thicker the handle, the easier it is to grip, and the more power you're going to be able to put into turning the screw. So sometimes you don't need a thick handle though. Sometimes you can just hold it on like this and tighten the screw. Go really fast. All right, so that's it for screwdrivers. Nothing too exciting there. But like I said, one of the disadvantages of screwdrivers, the advantage of screwdrivers is that I don't need an exact size of screwdriver. I can just use, most common screwdrivers will fit inside the screw. So I can just use any screwdriver I have. And you'll find screws like this on derailleurs, on sometimes accessories, on the bike handlebars, different stuff like that. So the things you're going to want to watch. So the cool thing about screwdrivers is that they're pretty universal. Sometimes you don't even need a screwdriver. If you have a big flathead screw like this, sometimes you can use like a dime or a quarter or something like that. But the disadvantage is that they sometimes slip. So that's why we get into hex wrenches. Boom, hex wrenches. All right, so they're called hex wrenches because the tip, let me zoom in. Is this the right way? Nope, that's the wrong way. Sorry, guys. New to cameras. Oh man, you can't even see it. It's too dark. But what's cool about this one is it's got a 6-sided hexagon, like right here. Here, maybe we can see. Here is a multi-tool that folds out and has a bunch of different ones. Well, you get the point. It's a 6-sided hexagon shaped piece. And what's cool about these is that once you get one in there, it is in there. It won't pop out. It's a lot harder to get it to slip. But the only thing is that you have to use the exact right size of Allen wrench or hex wrench. Okay, sorry, these are called Allen wrenches too, because they're invented by a guy named Allen. They're also invented by other people because things were invented at the same time. Anyway, look it up on Wikipedia. It's a fun little read if you're into wrench manufacture and patents. Anyway, so you have to use, the point is the Allen wrenches, you have to use the exact size. This is a size 6, and that means it's 6 millimeter. This is a 5 millimeter. 1 millimeter is not a huge difference. Well, besides the fact that this one is really long for whatever reason. But if I put a 5 in there, it just spins freely. Even though it's just one size smaller, it does not catch at all. So that's one disadvantage that Allen wrenches have over that screwdrivers don't, because screwdrivers are Phillips heads especially are a lot more universal, whereas Allen wrenches you can only use the size that it was meant for. Now for bikes, Allen head screws or bolts and Allen wrenches are the most common type of screw that you'll find on a bike. It holds everything from a lot of times your pedals to, well, not a lot of times, sometimes your pedals, the parts together on your bike. It holds your water bottle cage on, like we went over on adjusting your handlebars a few weeks ago. It holds your handlebars on. Allen wrenches are really important. And the common sizes for bikes anyway are 4 millimeters, 5 millimeters, and 6 millimeters. I've got here a tri-wrench, that's what we like to call it, but it's got the 4, 5, and 6. That way, if I accidentally put like, oops, where'd it go? There it is. If I put it in, it's like, oh no, that's the wrong one. I just flip it over, and then I can turn it like that. So we use that one. This one, I use this one a lot here because I screwed up. But yeah, so that's so they don't slip, but you need to use the exact right one. Now like I said, it uses millimeters. A lot of Allen wrenches you can buy here at like Home Depot or Lowe's or any like a hardware store. You buy and there's a good chance that they're in inches, like 1/4 of an inch or 3/8 or 5/16 or any other fraction like that. Now, a lot of those are interchangeable, but using the slightly wrong size, you run the risk again of every time it slips, it tears away a tiny bit of metal. And then pretty soon you don't have a hexagon, you have a circle. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, guys. I just realized that was probably all hidden. Real quick, right size, wrong size. All right, put these down. As a matter of fact, I'm going to come over here onto the other side of the camera. This is a headphone. They're good for listening to music when you're working on a bike. That's not a tool. Well, it is a tool, but we're not going over that one today. Now we're going over pliers. All right, now pliers are good at gripping and pulling on things. You can technically use them on, reach over, you can use them on bolts. JP, do I have audio right now? I think so. Okay, I'm getting levels. Cool. All right, just had to verify. Sometimes I wonder if anyone can hear me, but I'm glad you can. All right, thanks for watching, by the way. All right, but I'm gonna go into pliers. You can use them, but again, every time that slips and clicks a little bit, you're tearing off even the tiniest bit of metal. And sometimes these nuts and bolts are not made out of strong metal. So, so sometimes the tools are made out of a stronger metal than the nuts and bolts are. So if a tool is stronger than if one metal is stronger than the other, the stronger metal will tear apart the weaker metal. So you have to be careful that you don't accidentally destroy the softer metal. So you can do that with pliers, but wrenches are better. So let's go over the different types of pliers and what they'd be used for. Ooh, I need a pair of tweezers to get this little splinter I just got out. That's not fun. All right, so a lot of different pliers. Here's some basic ones. These ones get bigger so you can grip onto things and hold them still so they don't move around on you. These are needle nose pliers so that you can reach into tight spaces. I use these a lot to tighten cables and to pull them through. You have to be careful though, because if you bend the cable too much, then it won't slide properly. And then we've got other stuff. These are just some really big pliers. These are heavy duty for working with heavy cable. These ones I like to use to, oh, and here's another good thing. They pinch things. So like the little things that you put on the ends of cables, I like to put it inside here and then just pinch it. Careful not to pinch yourself though, because that hurts. And then these are locking, so these lock into place. Let's see if I can demonstrate. Oh, that's too thin. So, oops. Wow, that was loud. All right, so what you do is you just adjust the screw at the bottom. Oops. And then you just click it, grip it into place. And now that is really jammed in there. It's not foolproof, but these are called locking pliers. Yeah, there's a brand called Vice Grip, but these are just locking pliers. And now it is really in there. And to release it, you have to squeeze this really hard. And I'm going to use another pair of pliers. Okay. So the cool thing about pliers, like I just demonstrated, I wasn't able to do it with my fingers, but pliers, because you're turning this big grip into you're gripping right here into a tiny little pinch point. So that means you can put all the force that you use in all your hand as if it were the size of your fingers. So imagine if your fingers were as strong as your whole hand. That's what pliers do for you. That's physics. Physics, cool. All right, and then we've got specialty pliers. These ones are fun because they look like a duck. Quack, quack. Duck pliers. I don't even know what these are for. I just saw them and they look like a duck. Quack. All right. So yeah. All right. So pliers, they're good for gripping, pulling, pinching things, but not not as good as wrenches for turning nuts and bolts, even though you technically can. All right, and then also with this little thing is cutters. A lot of pliers, like these ones here. Oops, let me get into frame. A lot of these will have cutters built into them, and some will just be cutters. These are called side cutters because they cut from either side. Now, generally, you don't want to use these as much on bikes. Like we went over in the brake cable episode. You can use these to cut brake cables so that they're the right length. But what we like to do is use cable cutters. So the cool thing about cable cutters is that here, let me silhouette it just right. They pinch at top first, and then they close in. So that way, they don't mangle the cord. You just clean cut. Granted, you have to keep these tight and you have to keep them sharp, so that way they don't mangle the cord, because mangled cords can give you splinters. So, all right. So now that's the basics of it. Using the right tool for the job is make sure, like these basic tools here. Oh, I can't believe I forgot something. Boom, we forgot to talk about torques. Now, torques are less common, but what they are, ooh, man, can I even zoom in on that? Let's see. Yeah. So torques are a six-sided star, like this right here. So, and what that does is it turns screws in a very secure way. So that's for when you want to be really precise with how much you turn the screw, or not have it slip, or something like that. But these go in, and they're sometimes they have even a little pin in the middle, not on bikes, but for like electronics or stuff like that. But this one, you just it goes in there. You find these on disc brakes on bikes. It's more common. And sometimes other parts, but usually on disc brakes. So yeah, that's it for the basic tools. Let me zoom out and pull the rest of this in focus. Because now there's a lot of I have a lot of tools here just to as examples, but in reality, these are the 4 most basic kinds of tools. Let's see. Oh yeah, some pliers with cutters, some Allen hex wrenches. With that, you'll be able to fix a ton of stuff. Phillips head screwdriver for the screws on your derailleurs and your shifters and accessories and things. And then a wrench. I don't keep these in my pocket because they jangle around. But these things here are the basic things that I keep in my pocket all day when I'm working here on bikes. When I'm just running around and someone needs help with a bike, I can pop these tools out of my pocket and then use them to help fix a bike or do whatever. Most of the basic stuff on a bike can be done with these tools. Now, there are a lot of specialty tools, and we'll actually get into those next week. So join us next week, Tuesday at 5. And we will be Tuesday at 5 o'clock. What time is it now? 5:24. But join us next week, and we will go over some of the advanced tools, like specialty tools that you'd use on a bike. Tools that most people don't have at home, and some people have never even seen before. I know that a lot of those tools I'd never seen before I worked here. So yeah, that's what we'll be going over next week. So join us then, Tuesday at 5. Thanks so much for joining us. If you have any questions, go ahead and submit them in the question form by going to the link in the description. And then have a good day. You guys go out there, be safe, ride your bike, and have a great day.